From you wake up this morning, you's a winner, yeah, yeah, yeah. But you know who weren't winners? The two teams from the Caribbean. I'm singing Caribbean soca, but the two teams from the Caribbean did not win. Guyana lost to Panama in a 4-2 game, and then Trinidad and Tobago, where that song originates from, were smashed out of the park by the USA 6-0. But I really like singing that song. I enjoy singing it because I like winning. And you know who won? The USA. The USA, they got their revenge on Trinidad and Tobago after they defeated them in the final match day of 2018 World Cup qualifiers and prevented them from making the 2018 World Cup, which was a disastrous day for US football. It kick-started and it was the catalyst for the entire revamp that we're seeing right now. Came in result of Trinidad and Tobago defeating the USA on that dreadful night in Couva. So with those second round of fixtures completed, we know the two teams who will definitely advance to the last 8. And those teams are USA and Panama. So guys, let's talk about the Guyana versus Panama fixture first. Guyana 2, Panama 4. Remember, debutants Guyana lost their opening group game against the USA in a match that ended 4-0, which means they have conceded 8 goals so far at the tournament, scoring 2. So Guyana are officially knocked out of the 2019 CONCACAF Gold Cup. But they should walk away from this tournament with their heads held high and with their pride intact, because I did not expect anything big from Guyana at this event. But they have shown a lot of promise. They definitely have shown promise. As for Panama, they were 2-0 winners in their opening fixture versus Trinidad and Tobago, and they are now in the quarterfinals of the 2019 CONCACAF Gold Cup. I did predict Panama to move on as well. So that means my predictions are looking quite good for Group D. In this game, Guyana started very well, and I was saying like, wow, this Guyana team looks quite impressive. But against the run of play, Panama scored. It was a nice lofted ball. The keeper Clark came off his line, but Arroyo went down. He chested the ball away from Clark and he tapped it in for the game's opening goal. The game continued to be very open, and in the 32nd minute, Guyana had a penalty awarded to them, and it was a quite questionable penalty, but with no VAR at the tournament, it stood. Up stepped the veteran Neil Dance to put away Guyana's first goal of the 2019 Gold Cup. Their first ever Gold Cup goal as well, because they are making their debut. Neil Dance is 36 years old, so when I say he's a veteran, not a veteran in caps, but a veteran in terms of age. With the game level at 1-1, I was saying like maybe we might have a game today. But with the unrelenting pressure that Panama applied, the Guyana's defense cracked once again. This time it was a low cross from the right side that deflected off one defender onto the next, ended up in the back of the net. Guyana were behind once again. How unfortunate. The game was getting quite feisty. There was a little fight between Basinas and Harriet that the referee had to step in and separate. It seems like there's bad blood between the Trinidadians and the Panamanians as well. Panama had another chance which they failed to take, and at halftime it was 2-1 for the Panamanians. Early in the second half, Panama had another shot saved by the goalkeeper Clark, who was the busier of the two goalkeepers in the match. And a minute later, the Panamanian striker Arroyo got in behind the defense and he was taken down. The referee pointed to the spot. There was a bit of drama involving the penalty when Davis stepped up. He struck his penalty and it was saved by Clark. But the linesman put his flag up and deemed that Clark had stepped off his line. When you look back at the replay, at the point when the ball was kicked, one of Clark's legs was still on the line and he saved the ball legally. But then again, there was no VAR to review it and the penalty had to be retaken. Davis stepped up once again. He put it to Clark's right. He got a hand on it, but it still ended up in the back of the net. 3-1 for Panama. Davis picking up his first international goal as well. Gabby Torres, one of Panama's best player who was actually rested for this game, came on as a late substitute and made it 4 for Panama. It was a shot blocked. It fell nicely to the Panamanian player who passed it back over nicely, and Gabby Torres headed it past Clark, who was having a horrible day at the office. The Guyanese players never dropped their heads and they kept fighting. They kept believing that something miraculous might happen. Or maybe they were just cherishing the moment playing at a Gold Cup. Because of their never ever say die attitude, they were rewarded another penalty because they kept trying. They kept trying to score. It was from a powerful free kick that struck the hand of Pimentel. The referee caught it, pointed to the spot. Up stepped the veteran Neil Dans once again, and he beautifully dispatched the ball to make it 2 goals for Guyana. In the end, it turned out to be a respectable scoreline, 4-2. As for stats, Guyana had 5 shots at goal with 3 of those shots on target. They had 46% of the possession, 374 passes with a 79% pass accuracy. They committed 16 fouls and picked up 3 yellow cards. They weren't bad in the game at all, but they were just lacking the end product. In the attacking third of the field is where they need to work on the most. They also need to work on their defense. Let's just say Guyana just needs to work on this team. They need to continue working on improving this nice little unit that they have here. As for Panama, they had 19 shots at goal with 8 on target. 54% possession, 437 passes with an 81% pass completion. They committed 16 fouls and picked up 1 yellow card. So Julio Valdez and his boys are into the quarterfinals. All the best to Panama in the next round. As for Michael Johnson and Guyana, they would want to walk away from this tournament with their heads high. They put out a very valiant effort. With that loss, Guyana are officially out of the 2019 Gold Cup, and their final game versus Trinidad and Tobago will be a dead rubber because Trinidad also lost their match versus the USA in a game that finished 6-0. Talk about getting your revenge. As much as they're saying that it was not a revenge game, it was a revenge game. Like, if a team prevents you from making a World Cup, the next time you meet that team, you mean business. You want to smash that team out of the park. And the USA did just so. Let's talk about the USA versus TNT fixture, man. As for head-to-head, the only fixture that mattered was that game in 2017 when TNT won and prevented the USA from making it to World Cup 2018. All the other fixtures are irrelevant. They don't matter. So as for head-to-head, Trinidad and Tobago and USA has only played 2 times. The last time when USA lost, and this time when they won 6-0. Guys, I'm just joking. For the USA, Greg Berhalter chose to play the same 11 that played in the Guyana game. We had Zach Steffen in goal, Lima Zimmerman, Long, and Ream at the back, Bradley in the middle. Just ahead of him, we saw Boyd, McKennie, Pulisic, and Ariola, and Giassi Zardes, the lone man up top. Off the bench, we saw Altidore, Cannon, and Trapp. As for Trinidad and Tobago, I'm not even gonna go into their lineups at all. I'm not gonna waste time doing that. And this is no disrespect to Trinidad and Tobago. I just don't have the time, guys. I've been very busy. 6-0. What a performance by Team USA, man. An improvement from the performance against Guyana. Trinidad and Tobago started the game very well. Both teams had chances. It was an open game. It was a level game. And when you look back at the scoreline, 6-0, no one would believe that we only had 1 goal in the first half. The first goal came in the 41st minute when Pulisic put in a nice cross and Aaron Long was open at the far post and he headed in past Philip. The game went into the halftime break 1-0, so that means that Trinidad was still in the match. When the 2 teams came back out, it took a while before the USA began to take control of the match. Both Trinidad and the USA had their chances to score, but they wasted them. The game was getting quite feisty. A fight even broke out between 2 players. Tempers were flaring, and at that point, I began to say to myself, something's gonna happen here. Either Trinidad equalizes and go on to defeat the USA, or the USA are just gonna trash them. And the latter is what happened. Between the 60th and the 65th minute, it was end-to-end stuff between the 2 teams. Trinidad had their chances, they wasted them. USA went forward, Garvin Phillip came up with some big saves. But sooner or later, that pressure would prove to be too much for Trinidad and Tobago. It was Michael Bradley with a sweet ball over to Lima, the right back, who headed it across goal for Giassi Zardes, who tapped it in in for his second goal of the tournament. It was 2-0 to the USA. A few minutes later, Giassi Zardes scored his third goal of the tournament when he was beautifully set up by Christian Pulisic. Pulisic was buzzing in the game, tormenting the Trinidad and Tobago players. Trinidad were 3-0 down and the floodgates had begun to open, and with Zardes on a hat-trick, he almost got it when he had like a triple chance to score and he missed all three. One of them he struck the upright, but still it's a miss. USA did score 4 through Pulisic in the 73rd minute, which meant that Trinidad had just conceded 3 goals in the span of 7 minutes. Talk about a grand meltdown, from being in the game to completely blown out of it. Their defense was stretched to capacity. They were just being outclassed, and I think the USA players were just rubbing it in. USA's front line were having a very great game. Ariole, Pulisic, Weston McKennie, Zardes all looked good. And the aforementioned Ariole got in on the action in the 78th minute when he scored. After a few more lookings at goal, I knew the USA would score more, and they did so through Long, who scored his second goal of the game. That final goal by Long was actually put in using his chest, and he had completed a mauling of Trinidad and Tobago, who would definitely walk away from this fixture with their heads down because they were appalling in the second half. With this big loss, it meant that Trinidad and Tobago has been knocked out of the competition. They will play Guyana in their final fixture, and they will be looking for a consolation win in that game. But I think Guyana will have other ideas though. Christian Pulisic is officially my man of the match because the Chelsea player showed his quality in that game. As for stats, the USA had 27 shots at goal with 12 shots on target, 67% possession, 515 passes with an 88% pass completion. They committed 16 fouls and picked up 1 yellow card. As for TNT, they had 9 shots at goal with 3 on target, 33% possession, 267 passes with a 75% pass completion. They committed 15 fouls and picked up 3 yellow cards. So Dennis Lawrence and his boys got a lot to work on. They are definitely impotent going forward, and they know about that problem. They need goal scorers. As for Greg Berhalter and the USA, they will be walking away from this fixture very happy. But guys, to be honest, these were 2 easy fixtures. Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago. The test would come when they play Panama, who I'm actually pipping to top the group. So if they could smash Panama like they do Trinidad and Guyana, scoring 10 goals across 2 games, then I'll start to respect the USA again. But they have to impress. They have to impress me. But I think they're getting there. So with the top 2 teams already decided, it's only a matter of who will place first and who will place second. If the game between Panama and the USA end in a draw, USA will definitely place top because of their superior goal difference. And if they top the group, they will play the runners-up in Group C. That could be either Jamaica, Curacao, or El Salvador. I don't want to see the Jamaica USA so early at all. So guys, that's my recap of the round 2 fixtures from Group D for the 2019 CONCACAF Gold Cup. If you're new around here, consider hitting the subscribe button, smash the thumbs up button, and in the comment section down below, let me know if you think that the USA will go all the way to lift consecutive CONCACAF Gold Cup titles. So from your boy Dominic Rich, I'd like to say thanks for watching and peace out. Rich Squad.